Oh, there he is. Hey,
Hey, what's up, bro?
with his LA hat on. Back when I was a professional sports junkie, I'm starting to get back into it. I'm starting to. I just take things personally. I don't know. I take things personally, and I boycotted a lot for the last few years. Um, but after watching, I did watch the Super Bowl. I might get back into it. Anyways, so is this a Rams thing or is this a Dodgers thing?
Die hard, LA, everything.
Oh, really? Is that where you're from?
Yeah, from downtown
I,
LA.
I didn't realize that. Is that where you're at now?
No, fuck no, I wish.
You're
Um,
still active duty, right?
yeah, I'm in Missouri right now.
Missouri. Hey, that's where our roaster is. Copper Canyon Roasters are right out there in Missouri. You should link up with Patrick. Maybe we'll get some coffee from him. Patrick, get Chief Pinkmist a bag of coffee.
Yeah, my girls, my soldiers would appreciate that.
They absolutely would. All right, let me start the clock. We do 22 minutes. Hard-hitting questions. My goal is to make you cry. I'm joking about that, of course. I used to say that with my other podcast when I would do. All right, just started. Good. I have it going. I need to get this back here so people can see. All right, so let's start with your current state of affairs. Your active duty. I saw you just pinned on First Sergeant. Is that right?
Yep, yeah, about 5 months ago.
Okay, and you're stationed out in Missouri. What unit?
Uh, Echo 701st MP Battalion. So one of
Okay.
the out here.
Is that one of those things? Because you were an MP in Afghanistan, right?
Yeah, I've always been an MP. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to say. So you go into that career field and you're kind of pigeonholed, or can you cross train out of that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I cross-trained. So I was fortunate enough to work as a medic. My first,
Okay.
and then I got to work with the snipers, the recon platoon as a designated squad marksman on my second deployment.
Okay. Very cool. I guess it was about a year ago we met. You were on our show, and so a lot of these questions, might be recycled. We won't tell anyone because no one really listens to my podcast. So, tell us about you wrote a book. Like, when did you write it, and give us the background about how you decided to write a book.
I started writing it in November of 2019, and I was done in
Mm-hmm.
months. Um, so it was pretty quick. All I really did was just kind of chronological, put my pain on paper kind of thing. And then I want to say like maybe 5 months after that, my publisher just happened to run across it and picked it up.
Oh, really? So you wrote it with no plan for it to go anywhere?
No, it was just more of a therapeutic thing for myself. And then somebody else got a hold of it, read it, and then was pushing to get it published. And I didn't think that it would. And then just everything kind of fell into place the way it did. I published it.
Yeah, that's cool. I think one of the neat things about the 21st century is all the avenues out there for people to be creative. If it was 1980, writing a book and then shopping it and finding a publisher house, and that publisher has to print like 100,000 copies. It was tricky. So, what route did you go? Did you do digital, or how did you get it out there?
Yes, my publisher did all of that, so I really didn't have to do anything. So essentially, I signed my rights over of the book over to him. I really don't make much off the book or really anything. I make $1 a sale essentially, because he fronted up like $10,000 to essentially do the shipping, the production, the printing, the storage, and the distribution of it all. So he does literally everything. And so I make $1 a book sale, and then of that I send to the Lieutenant Tyler Parton Foundation, which is my lieutenant who was killed in my first deployment.
Okay.
He was a West Point graduate, so his foundation is actually linked with the West Point website. So I whenever I get a paycheck from every quarter, I send that over to the foundation.
That's awesome. That's something I love about our generation of veterans, is the altruism that you see through a bunch of them. Sometimes not so good. I think when we first linked up, there was some kid he was doing like tactical reloads and an airsoft thing, and then veterans went after him.
Yeah.
You showed up on my feed pretty much schwacking them, and I thought it was very NCO.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that video to go as viral as it did. I was pretty upset. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that video of the kid, and he was just doing autistic, or he was doing like these reloads, and people were making fun of him, saying that he was autistic, saying that he was, not mentally there. And these were veterans that were saying these things.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
And I don't know. I just, like, I remember I was gonna go eat dinner, and then I was like, no, I got to say something. And I posted this video, and I was pissed, and I tagged all these veteran dudes that I do know that actually really support the community, both the veteran and the civilian community. And yeah, and then the video blew up, and this kid got like, I mean, if I had to guess, just the pictures I saw, probably over $50,000 worth of
Yeah.
that, you know, people from all over sent to this kid full tactical gear and stickers and t-shirts and hoodies and all these tactical companies that actually support the movement. So it was actually really cool to see.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up with that. I called the dude after I saw you. Either I called you first, or I called the guy that runs the. It was a gun store. I can't remember the name of it. I'd like to give him a shout out, but I called him and he said he had a small truck and it got filled, so he had to get another truck just for how people were sending him all sorts of stuff. I think we got a bunch of irreverent warriors to send some things. I sent him a patch. Not as cool to get Air Force stuff. I mean, patches are cool, I guess. we're not as badass as people who get to carry machine guns. See, I'll show you my Air Force knowledge. In the back there is M2. No, I don't know. The front looked like it was something belt fed, but now I see it's a sniper rifle.
Yeah, it's my M14 EBR sniper rifle.
Ooh, M14, old school. People like those, huh? Because they reach out.
Yeah, so this is actually what I carried in Afghanistan. So,
how do you get to keep that there? Because I think during our episode you had it too.
Yeah, no, I actually had a buddy that knew somebody up in Springfield that was able to hook me up with one. So, but it's
okay.
Same, the EBR stock and everything. So mine was just all black. This one just has some silver on it. But
I see what you mean. Yeah. Well, that's pretty sweet. You a fan of the 308 or 7.62? But you are.
Yeah.
Anytime I go long distance, it's 6.5 Creedmoor because there's less math. It's just a straight running bullet.
Yeah, there is.
Awesome. So I have a question that I had mentioned about earlier. Actually, no, we already talked about that one. Let's go with your experiences from junior enlisted earlier on to NCO. How did the Army change for you in that? I assume you're 13, 14 years in?
Yeah, I just hit 14 years 2 days ago.
Okay. What was the Army like as a junior officer or junior enlisted to a NCO, senior NCO now?
Yeah, that's a huge jump, huge change that I still find myself having a hard time adjusting to. So when I made sergeant in 2011, the Army was in a huge transition of how it conducted itself, leadership-wise. The days of what we used to call smoke sessions, yelling, the more intense leadership style was starting to fade out, and it started to turn into more of a human connection. A dynamic that was really unseen before in the military, especially for a military at war. And so a lot of people, it was a hard pill for them to swallow. And it was hard for them to adjust their leadership style because they only knew one way. Now, I was lucky enough to not have been a part of the old Army, but I was definitely raised by a lot of the dudes who were, the BDU wearing generation. And they taught me kind of the things that they had gone through, the pre-war, pre-9/11 kind of thing. And especially the dudes who deployed early on in the war were kind of established my leadership style. But then I was in that weird phase where it was just changing the way we conducted ourselves as leaders. And so now it's a lot more of a human dimension approach, the way you talk to people to get them to do things that you want them to do, as opposed to just more of a command and control, telling them to do it kind of thing. So,
sure. How well do you think that works?
I think there's a time and place. I think if you're a leader that yells all the time, then obviously you're probably not getting the point across as much as you probably should. I think we get paid as NCOs to be critical thinking leaders, to just figure out a problem and work with people and try to understand them, have a lot of empathy and sympathy towards their situations. And I think if you can hone that in and be good at that, it'll help your decision making. It'll help with the people underneath you wanting to work with you as opposed to being more of a dictator.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's the hard part about being a senior NCO now is the political. I'm not very good at the political game.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I know my weaknesses. It is what it is. It's probably something I'll probably never really adjust to, but I try to do the best I can.
So I'm not 100% familiar with Army rank, but you're an E8?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it starts getting really political when that last stripe gets on there.
It does.
Yeah. Do you miss the simpler times?
I do. just kicking with the boys, kicking indoors, knuckle dragging,
Yeah,
shooting at the ranges. Life was easy back then. And
sure.
point was easy. You knew what to expect. From point A to point B, it was an easy paycheck, life and death, nothing more to it. But yeah, nowadays it's the Army's changing, so it's rough.
Lots of paperwork too, I assume. I had a friend come over, so I got hurt in southern Iraq, and it cost me my career. I got medically retired, and my buddy came. This was about 2 years ago, and I hadn't seen him in such a long time. And at this point, he's a lieutenant colonel, and I was like, I'm a physician assistant now, a coffee company owner. I do boring things, and I was like, man, I wish I was still with you. I wish I was still doing that stuff. And that's everything every veteran says. But he's like, dude, you think you'd be doing operations? He's like, you'd be sitting at a desk somewhere, writing OPRs and trying to gun for whatever checkbox you have to do for your next rank. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I didn't really miss it when I heard that. As I do this, my thing signed out where all your questions were. It's okay. I can go on the fly. So tell me about part of your I guess we'll call it your CV is entrepreneur and public speaker. Did that come after the book? Is it all related?
Yeah. I try to talk to as many veterans as I can, spread my knowledge and experience. That if someone who's at my rank can talk about their experiences and can talk about their struggles, then it should be easier for a younger soldier to do so. But we tell these younger soldiers, no, you got to go to behavioral health, you got to talk to people, you got to do this and that. But senior leaders aren't really seen doing those things. So if I'm, can be that image, or if I can be the forefront of that, objective, what we're trying to do with the mental health status of a lot of our soldiers, then hopefully that will guide a lot of the younger leaders or younger soldiers to get help and talk about it, because I think that's one thing that hurt our generation in the war, is that we got back and we don't want to talk about it. We just drank our sorrows and shoved pills down our throats, and it led to what we know now is 22 a day, or the suicide rate that we know now. And so that's one way to combat it, is having human empathy through the whole thing. Sure
does. I just saw a statistic today that I call it the GWAT generation, but people that served between 2001 and present day are dying at much higher rates than those civilians and their civilian counterparts. I think the number was 4,000 more died, or maybe it was I can't remember what the number was, but it only makes sense because, you get, like with me, I got out and it's like, here, take all these pills for the rest of your life. Good luck. And I was 10% of the guy I was when I went into the military. I slept all day. I was just garbage. And I tell you 100% it was all the pills that not only do that to you, but they drive you down and they make you feel awful. And yeah, it's just not a good thing. I think the VA, hopefully with statistics like that study that just came out, and with things like dogs, even yoga, meditation, they're doing stuff with psilocybin, not for your active duty guys, but they're doing these new age things that they're looking into. I don't even want to call them new age, just cutting edge stuff that are healing people instead of medicating people, which I think is super important.
Yeah.
And that's something I hear a lot, and I think it's a fantastic thing. Like I had Rudy Reyes on last year, 2 years ago, and he's someone that everyone looks up to, right? Everyone loves Rudy. He's the toughest guy in the world, whatever. And his book, he got into detail about his struggles. And you struck a chord there, because you're absolutely right. As an NCO, as a guy who I guess people know via social media, to be able to speak out and expose your weaknesses, really, I guarantee you, has an effect on younger folks. Have you seen it? Have you seen any effect?
Yeah, I've had a lot of people come forward and be a little open about their situations, their personal situations, and they kind of reached out that the book helped them, or just the fact that I was able to be vulnerable in this day and age of social media, where people are pretty much in everyone's business and they have their own take, and the telephone game and the rumors and the hate. Sure. All this stuff, and to put yourself out there in this age where everything is recorded on this little device, it does put you at a vulnerable state, and it did raise my anxiety initially because that was the one thing I was like, when they said, dude, you should do the book, I was like, nah, I really didn't want my information out there. I didn't want people talking about me, or because essentially I'm exposing the 2 worst days of my life, and exposing a day that we lost a great American hero. And the minute that I started hearing negative comments or haters, just makes me feel like those days were for nothing, or his death was for nothing. So it was hard initially to be vulnerable, towards those certain things, but I've just kind of learned to live with it.
Dude, any lessons on that would help. I cannot stand failure. I did the, for anyone who's watching, if you're a veteran or if you're having any issues, check out the vet centers. Vet centers are all over the place. If you don't find a home in the VA, vet centers are awesome, awesome places. But I went 2 years ago, I guess, and I went through CPT, cognitive processing therapy, a little different than the classic cognitive behavioral therapy. Either way, it's getting vulnerable in front of someone you don't know and readdressing the things. We tell ourselves stories about how things happened, and rarely are they true, but we believe it. We convince ourselves that that's the truth. And I remember leaving those sessions, and I brought a change of clothes in the car because it was like working out, which it kind of is, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like what me and my buddy Rocco are doing for veteran. We're trying to link, I guess, we're trying to fill the gap that that some say that the VA is failing at. And so we're trying to help veterans get the help to have a better transition when they come out of the military, and connect with old veteran friends. So the veteran company itself is going to be doing some amazing things that's going to hopefully fill those gaps that the VA has been kind of, failing at a little bit.
And that's BETERENAN. Sorry, you tell everyone how they can find out what that is.
Follow me, and the website should be on my bio, or my buddy Rocco Vargas. He used to be part of the Article 15 crew with Matt Best and all them, and he's one of the the founding fathers when it comes to helping out the GWAT veterans, and helping out people the transition, they're having a hard time transitioning out of the military, and he's actually trying to find donators that are going to help build these veteran centers that essentially are going to have doctors, kinesiologists, psychologists. It's going to have everything you need, when it comes to filing for your percentages for the VA. It's going to have a center it's going to have PS5s, Xboxes, a place for that you can actually go and hang out with other veterans. They're even working on, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a certain VR therapy where essentially you could put a VR headset on and you could actually connect with your buddies from across the world and see them as if you were actually there. It could actually put you back into places to help actually cope with the therapy. And so he's doing a lot of really good things for our community. So I've been with him for almost 2 years now, kind of helping him out, get this thing off the ground as much as I can. So hopefully that'll help our community down the road.
Yeah, isolation's a killer, and especially with the Reverend Warriors. Back when I was with them, our whole mission was getting people out, right? Not sitting at home and dwelling and contemplating and going to those dark places. And then the last 2 years, man, really 18 months where they locked everything down. We had some tough numbers coming out of there. I think the suicide rate ended up increasing during that time. And some of it has to do with people don't have anywhere to go, number one, or they feel like they don't have anywhere to go. And really, as far as I'm concerned, the wrong treatment protocols. What kind of dog you have there? Looks like a bulldog?
Yeah, my bulldog. She's being a pain in the ass, so she's what's up? Sorry.
No, it's fine. My dog is he's 10 months old. He's being trained as a service dog, and I had to get a hypoallergenic one. And he's a poodle. All right, he's a standard poodle. I tell people he's a German water dog or water hound because apparently they were originally from Germany. I keep his hair cut short, so he kind of looks like some sort of pointer or something. But dogs are cool. And how does your dog help with any sort of issues?
This one's actually a pain in the ass. So she's
really?
Yeah, she's still a puppy, so she's learning. She's chewing everything up. But my golden's really, really good. He could actually be a therapeutic dog. He's really well trained, and all he wants to do is hug you and kiss you. He listens to literally everything. So, he's actually a really good dog. Bulldog.
That's awesome. I just saw a bulldog actually the other day. I like them. I hear they can be, they can be have their own issues. Yeah. So here's a question I wrote. I'm going to see if I do a lot of this whatever that's called, stream of thought or stream of consciousness, just see where the conversation goes. For 20 years, the military culture was stagnant, for lack of a better way to describe it. Mental health issues were pretty much the same. Deployments are regular. The GWAT generation they all had similar experiences, right? So if you were in Balad and I was in Balad, we kind of experienced the same thing, or whatever it ended up being. You know, and it was all branches, right? Because I remember one time being in Al-Assad, and I see a Navy guy. There was like these 3 Navy dudes washing trucks. I'm like, what are you doing here? And they're like, I don't know. But we all had kind of something similar, like a bond that we had. How has since the what do you call it, the winding down or even the ending of the global war on terror, what has that done to the military culture? Do you see any changes there?
Yeah, I've noticed we've lost a lot of veterans, combat veterans, for obvious reasons. You know, a lot of those dudes, they joined to fight. There's no more fight to be fought. And so, you know, they left the military, or the military wasn't going in the direction that they kind of wanted it, or that they remembered and how they entered. And so, you know, they left. And so we lost a lot of veterans. And I'm trying to have to like watch what I say because I'm still active duty. So I'm not.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Political game. This is the political game right here. So the Army is going in a more professional direction that sometimes I feel that they put us old war dogs in a glass case and they only want to break it in case of emergency. And now here we are. And I'm not saying anything's going to happen. I'd like to think that nothing will happen with the whole Russia-Ukraine thing. Hopefully we stay out of it. Hopefully it's nothing we ever see. You know, sometimes I feel like they keep us real close so that if they need to break that glass in case of emergency, they do have some of us combat veterans of all MOSs that, you know, it's been this weird transition that a lot of those dudes left, and the few of us that there are left are just trying to teach this new generation. But the problem, I say problem, but the hard part about that is that the next war is not going to be fighting a militia. It's not going to be fighting Taliban or ISIS, right? It's going to be a peer-to-peer threat. It's going to be a pure carnage, high casualty producing war that I think that, you know, especially here, you know, I watch my drill sergeants train these guys. It's hard to get that point across to these new recruits or these new trainees, you know, that their war is going to be very different from ours, and it's going to be very chaotic, and it's going to be very bloody. And so I think trying to get that point across while using our combat experience is the pivotal point to hopefully enhance our training as best we can.
Yeah, that's standard with military to be a little bit behind the curve as far as, because what they do is over 20 years you come up with operating procedures and combat maneuvers and everything to fight the enemy that you're fighting, and then that becomes doctrine for sometimes several decades. Because I always thought it was interesting. We would go fly in Afghanistan or Iraq or Africa, and we would use certain tactical maneuvers and tactical techniques, and then we would come home and we would like practice to fight Russia, you know, with giant like 12 ships, dropping troops and equipment out the back, and it's like, when are we doing this? And so I'm sure they've switched that, and now who knows, we might be in that situation again, the one that we had in the 80s or 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. So what is next for you? Obviously, you got still some time left in your career, but as far as writing, and you got veterans or anything else going on?
No, not really. My job that I'm currently in takes up majority of my time. I mean, I'm usually up by 2 a.m. and depending on what phase we're in, it could be anywhere from 5 to 10 o'clock at night that I'm going home, or I just sleep in the office. So it's pretty rough. But I just hate not being there. My drill sergeants are there. They work crazy long hours and they work really hard. I just would feel like a piece of shit if I was at home chilling. So I try to stay there as much as I possibly can, try to find some balance in this whole thing. As far as what's after, that's whatever the Army wants me. I don't really worry about promotions and assignments. I've always just kind of gone with the flow, and whatever the Army wants me to do next, then that's what I'll do.
Cool. I feel like a total douche not knowing what that rifle was behind you, being a kid that grew up with guns. So I'm gonna beat myself up for the rest of the night. I don't know. For my Air Force guys, if you're watching this, from that angle, it looks like maybe, doesn't it kind of look, no, I'm not, just stop, Kevin, just stop, you're cool. But yeah, after this, I'll get your mailing address. We'll send you out some. You guys like the strong stuff or the lighter breakfast blend? I don't know what Gen Z drinks. That's the new generation that comes in. I don't know what they do.
My drills, they're full of caffeine all the time, so they need the strong stuff.
Awesome. We'll send them some ambush and some going dark. That'll sound good. But Sean, thanks for coming on. We'll have to have you on the 20, too many numbers, 21 gun podcast, which is my other home. Again, sometime. And if anyone who's watching wants to hear a deeper, longer conversation, head over to 21gun.net and just look up Sean's interview. I think we went for a while with that one. But thank you. Thanks for coming on. And yeah, like I said, just drop me your address and we'll send you some stuff.
Yeah, brother. Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, cool. Take care.
All right, brother. See you later.